Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another talk with Brandon and I. We have some news to talk about that. We've looked into the 2025 MLB schedule for the Cubs, and man, what a doozy it is. Brandon, let's just dive right into this. What are your feelings as the Cubs go into 2025 with this schedule?
Yeah, the first month of the regular season is going to be quite telling for the rest of the season. Obviously, April, the record in April does not dictate the record come September, but just for reference, so the Cubs are playing the Dodgers in Tokyo to open the season in the middle of March, in the middle of spring training, which will be bizarre. And I wouldn't put too much stock into that two-game series, but it will count towards the regular season record. But then come April, the Cubs are going to draw the Padres twice, the Dodgers two, or in terms of series. They'll draw the Padres in two series. They'll draw the Dodgers in two more series. They'll draw the Rangers. They'll draw the Diamondbacks. They'll draw the Phillies. It's going to be a rough sort of opening month, and it'll be very telling for the quality of this team, at least coming out of the gates, playing against so many of the NL's best teams.
I think it's really interesting to. Look, in the 2024 season, we had a very I think it was a kind early season. And now in 2025, I think, look, we had a really great end of the 2024 season. We were close to making it to the playoffs. So now in 2025, we'll talk about spring training later on, but I'm excited to see, going up against people like the Rangers and the Diamondbacks, who are very fresh off of the World Series stint, only 2 years ago. I'm excited to see where the Cubs go with it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, the Cubs are better this year than they were last year. I mean, they've made some smart moves. They traded for Kyle Tucker. Matt Shaw is coming up to probably be the starting third baseman. So, I mean, there's more talent on this roster than there was at the end of 2024. So, I guess in terms of that, the offseason has been a success. But I mean, again, what happens in April isn't necessarily going to dictate what happens come the end of the regular season and potentially the playoffs if the Cubs make it that far. But it's going to be telling. Can the Cubs should be good enough to post a record above 500 again and again probably win the division. But are they good enough to win the division, or are they good enough to hang with the Dodgers? There's a difference. There's a chasm in that sort of talent gap.
I want to kind of pay attention to some of the other teams that we're looking at here, like the Padres and the Phillies and the Pirates, who and also the Brewers. One of our big time enemies here. Ooh, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, division games matter a lot. I mean, those are the teams you play the most throughout the season. I think the Brewers are obviously the main threat going into 2025 for the NL Central. I mean, they've won the division the last couple of years. They've taken a step back this offseason. They lost Devin Williams in that trade. I think their starting rotation's a little bit in flux. So, again, it'll be good for the Cubs, no matter what happens in these games against the Padres and the Dodgers and the Phillies and whoever. It would be really helpful for the Cubs to sort of take a quick strike on the rest of the division. Take a couple series from the Pirates, win two out of three against the Brewers, just to sort of get, even if those other series sort of go awry, just to within the division get a leg up. Because obviously, come the end of the regular season, odds are if the Cubs are going to make the playoffs this year, it's going to have to be by winning the division. Because if you look at the NL West and the NL East, you've got the Mets, Braves, and Phillies who are all likely to make the playoffs. And you have the Dodgers, Diamondbacks, and Padres who are all likely to make the playoffs. That's six teams right there. So the Cubs probably aren't going to be good enough to win a wild card unless they're really good and the Brewers are really good. So it's going to be really important for the Cubs to win those early season division games.
Yeah, it's kind of like a learning experience early on. I'd rather us make mistakes now if we do make mistakes and kind of learn from them. So as we go throughout the 2025 season, we can patch those up. And the other thing, it's not all doom and gloom in April because once we get into May, we have some easier teams. Again, not throwing shade anywhere, but we have the Rockies, the Reds, the Nationals, and also we get to see them play the White Sox, which is always fun.
Yes.